Peace, everybody.
Peace, family.
My name is Ife, if you don't know already.
I'm Lev, and we the Chef Suma Art family.
Mine is 2. Try and talk. So in this video, we want to share with you the way that we apply wellness on every level of our life, and how we're able to really have a lifestyle that's based in vitality by really engaging each level of our life really intentionally. We hope to make one day interactive learning experiences, elays, workshops on every element of this, but it's always based off of what y'all are interested in. So we just kind of wanted to give an overview of how we base our life based in wellness and what that looks like on pretty much every level. I'm gonna try to keep it quick. So we can start with, I guess, ourselves, right? I feel like fundamentally, we relate to ourselves very specifically with the word wellness, which is a very self-referencing, physically orienting word that is something that we gauge based off of how we feel and how we're thinking and how we're moving in the world. And that looks lots of different ways, but fundamentally, I feel like it's just based in the actual term. I think language is very important for humanity. It's based in the actual term, wellness and vitality.
Yeah, and I've always oriented around the word vitality. It's a sensual word, like it's a word that you can feel life flowing through you. When you think about that word, when you say that word, it's like it almost like calls on life force. And when I think about the word well, or wellness, I think about a well where you're drawing water from, and that being like the, that life force as well, that you're drawing, kind of like from the essence. Mm-hmm. And to me, wellness always implies there's something internal that's like pulling something from inside of you in order to bring balance to yourself or a situation.
Mm-hmm. So that's ourselves, right? And then we have a way of relating to each other that we orient by wellness, and that's our effort to honor each other's, natural flow and natural inclinations and our authentic, ripple of source that's coming from within, that mine is different than his. And because of that, we can be a symphony of chords instead of me just trying to get him to match my chord, which throws mine off and his. And it's definitely something we're working on. I'm not saying I'm perfect, or either one of us are perfect at it, but it's something that we're thinking about and trying to keep in mind as we, live out this life that we had together.
Yeah, everybody, like every relationship is a journey, and but when you can honor yourself and honor the other in that relationship and have authentic connection, and when even when things get tense, when things when there's disagreements, and when it's like coming back to those principles as the guiding pillars to hold on to when navigating through those challenges, and having tools for communication are really important, and tools more like concepts. I feel like because we want to communicate authentically. We don't want to always have a filter over everything. Yeah, or like feel like it's inauthentic. But it's about where it's coming from, I think, is the most important thing, and taking the time and being patient with yourself, with the other person, to really be able to express and honor what's coming up, and also to remember to own your own experience, your own emotions, and the stories that you're telling through your experience, and recognizing that they are stories, and that somebody else may be operating with a different story, and so it's like, how are we going to tell a story together that honors both of us and what we're experiencing, and also knowing when to self-reflect, to take that step back and be like, listen, I need to sit with my story. I need to come to great awareness, that then I can show up with that understanding, and come from a place of that can move forward towards solutions from that place.
Yeah. Yeah. So we also like relate to our children from the same fundamental principles of wellness. And I guess I should go a little deeper than wellness, just so it kind of is clear, because underlying wellness is, like I was kind of saying, it is a physical referent. And I feel like all of this is about physical reference. We try to be in relationship to the reality that we commonly share, the physical reality. And then when we get out of the physical reality into the abstract world, like Lev was saying, we kind of honor it as like stories that we are each holding, that we hold for ourselves, but we cannot hold for another, and no one can hold that story of that definition of that abstraction for the other. It's always relatively defined. So because of that, when we relate to ourselves or each other, we're trying to come from a place of relativity and from a place of, you know, the physical reality of wellness, and trying to bring that out more and more from ourselves with each other. So with our children, it's the same thing. We try to, you know, bring out and honor their inner ripple of wellness, their inner source of wellness, and also trying to feel into and help them to discover their definitions of the abstract ideas that they are slowly developing as their minds continue to develop, and trying to get them to bring those abstract definitions back to that inner orientation of wellness. And that looks a lot of different ways, but fundamentally it's honoring them. And so we have that. And then we also have our relationship to food, as we've gone deeply into in another video, because we will be creating an interactive learning experience around food. But fundamentally, it's the same thing. It's fundamentally like, how can we nurture wellness from within by way of eating good food, nourishing foods, and how can we honor what we've learned and what our ancestors and our indigenous ancestors have learned and their physical reality that has created healthy teeth, healthy children, easy childbirth, you know, positive demeanor. It's like, what can we learn from them about how they nurtured wellness?
Yeah, generationally.
Generationally, yes.
It's time tested.
Time-tested generational knowledge, indigenous nutritional science. How can we apply that to our lives right now in a way that our children actually enjoy, that we actually enjoy, and not just saying what we should be eating, but what we want to eat and how we can make it good.
Yeah, and like the reality is, you know, we have a different palate now. We have a different access to so many different ingredients. We have, you know, our children have their preferences, and so, you know, it's not as easy as just being like, okay, just throw that liver on the coals and everybody take a bite. Right. No, it's like you got to learn how to make it so that your children eat it and they just want more. They're not having to, you know, compare it to the other really stimulating flavors around them. You know, obviously we want to kind of like be as close as we can to an indigenous way of eating, but you know, there's room for culinary creativity and being adventurous and flavorful with our foods, and you know, enjoying that, really enjoying our nourishment, and finding the unique ways that we can prepare these things that don't compromise nutrition, but just add more culinary ease and, you know, convenience, and also you allow it to be an art form that we can express ourselves by, nourish and love each other by.
Yeah. And so then we also apply this, you know, I like to say like it's a mind technology, this way of thinking, this way of orienting to how we relate to our home. We have systems all over our home to make sure that we're doing movement, to make sure that we are sustainable in the ways that we clean our dishes and wash our laundry, to make sure that we keep our toxic load down, you know, to make sure that we're functioning from a place of nurturing our wellness as a whole entire being. So we have lots of systems for that we've developed through by way of, you know, living in a bus, living in a tent, living in an off-grid tiny house, and then living in this little micro mansion or whatever you want to call it, this cute little retreat in you know, event space. We have systems established for living in lots of different ways that some, you know, are the same no matter where we are, and some change, but always it's about figuring out how every day we wake up and we go to bed and we have done all we can to maintain our inner state of wellness. And then we also have our relationship to the earth, how we, you know, dream, how we garden, how we relate to animals, how we dream of our village and the ways we want to live on the land, by way of the land, and how we want to traverse the land and travel, and how we want to connect with, different villages, and it's just like a wider, you know, you can call it permaculture, you can call it, you know, regenerative agriculture, you can call it, I mean, there's all different ways of approaching it that's based in how can we nurture a land-based and an earth entirety-based experience of wellness for ourselves and, you know, for others and for this earth.
And you know, we may not be practicing all of those things ourselves, but we make it a point to connect with those who are, to support them, and educate as many people as we can.
And ourselves.
And ourselves. So we're constantly learning things, and we want to, you know, figure out ways that we can procure our food with these wisdoms and these ancestral wisdoms that are now being given all these different terms, but essentially they're indigenous foodways that are being brought into the modern context.
And
So,
indigenous lifeways too, just being on the earth, you know,
learning how to give back, like not only knowing what to take and how to take it, but also how to return the favor, how to keep that cycle of life flowing, so that we are not obstacles to our ecosystems, to the earth herself, to, you know, to this home that we're on, that's a living entity, that we are, you know, we have this blessing of almost, just getting everything we need to live by. So,
And then fundamentally also learning how to relate to others. Sorry, I have to be crying in the background. And then fundamentally our way of relating to others. It really goes back to our way of relating to self, but it's about sharing, you know, ways to orient fundamentally, to communicate, trying to listen and hear the other, so that you know, the world, other people, so that we can, you know, really understand how other people are defining their words and how they're relating to themselves, and trying to support a way of relating that could possibly be for them more orienting towards a physical reality, more orienting towards honoring each individual. So that's pretty much all of the ways that we relate to wellness. Unless you can think of anything I missed.
I mean, wellness is a life practice, so it's in everything we do. It's in everything we, you know. So these are just the different layers of wellness. There's the internal environment of self-care, self-love, self-cultivation. There's relationships, there's families, there's, you know, interacting with the different species around us: plant, animal, fungal, mineral, spiritual. So, you know, we're not saying that we're experts in any of this, but we are actively always learning and integrating. And we do feel like we have enough to share with others who are inspired by this work. And, you know, so come join us for this journey. And blessings to you.
Yeah.
And, you know, looking forward to connecting with you.
Yeah, let us know if you're interested in any interactive learning experiences in relationship to any of these. We do one-on-one sessions, and we also will do group events. All right, and we'll let you know when we're ready to put one on too.